Hello, no, listeners. Tom here. Just with a few thoughts about the season so far, where we are so far, where perhaps we're going, and a little bit of my own little preview of the Forest game as well before Natalie and Dave talk you through the proper one. Yeah, it's been a disappointing start, hasn't it? I think it seems pretty obvious to everybody that we're setting up far too open at the minute. The gaps in behind are just massive. We don't have enough in midfield. Last season we were playing sort of Brownhill and Cullen in there, and this season Cullen's on his own and Amdini's up there a bit further forward. Burge doesn't look like he's suited to that role. Coupled with the fact that we haven't strengthened. In fact, we're weaker than we were last season at fullback. We just look very vulnerable. We look like we're going to concede every time someone comes forward. We're pressing too high. We don't really have the defensive players to play the way we're playing currently, I wouldn't have said. But Vincent is determined to stick with it. I think the way we've built the squad, we'll probably struggle to play another way. I don't think he'd bring in to suddenly make the midfield better than it is already. I guess Cork or Brownhill probably a bit more defensively minded, but I don't think they're quite what we need in that position. The obvious one at left back is Charlie Taylor, but I'm not sure I can actually see Company swallowing his pride and bringing him in, even though I think he would improve us. I don't think he's as bad as people think he is, passing wise as well. I mean, if O'Shea gets picked, not that O'Shea's bad, but is he any better on the ball than Taylor? I wouldn't have said so from what I've seen so far, and yet he's in the team every week, so something to think about. I don't know. It's difficult to judge it as well, because we have played three teams that are going to be, if not top six, definitely top eight. Those three all had good starts to the season, all flying. So we'll perhaps know a little bit more about how likely this formation is to succeed when we play Forest. A team who are probably going to be more of our level this season, probably going to be a bottom half side at the very least. So perhaps if we go there with a swashbuckling style, keep the ball, have 70% possession again, and win 2 or 3-0, then it'll all be forgotten, and we'll be loving the way we're setting up. It's another kind of interesting factor is the fact that it's an away game. It's our first away game of the season, and perhaps there'll be a little bit more kind of natural cautiousness because of that as well. Perhaps Company feels like we've got to go for it and press high at home, but away from home, then it's you can afford to be a little bit more cautious and perhaps play for a point in the way that you wouldn't do it at the turf. So that'll be interesting to see as well. I don't think we're going to see massive changes personnel-wise or tactics-wise from what we've seen in the first 3 games. And we'll see how that goes, I suppose. The Spurs game in particular, I felt really flat after that. I don't think we've played that badly at home for a long, long time. And it really did expose the weaknesses of the squad, and especially the 2 glaring omissions from the transfer window, not buying a holding midfielder and not buying a left back. That's going to come back to haunt us, I think, in the first half of the season until we've got the chance to rectify it in January. So I'm optimistic, not massively, but I'm not dreading it either. I think we have got the capability of getting something there. I think it'd be interesting to see how we do against that kind of level of team. So cautiously, I'll predict a 1-1 draw. I think that's doable, and I'd be happy with that. I think to get a point on the board, especially away from home, and especially at a ground that's quite a tricky one to go to, a good atmosphere and everything from the home fans, I think that'll be an acceptable result, and hopefully gives us a little bit of something to build on. Up the Clarets.
Hello, this is Adam from Red Side of the Trent, giving your opposition view for the No Nay Never podcast. Just been asked to do a 2-3 minute kind of video to give you our thoughts on the game ahead for the Monday Night Football. Obviously, Forest have had a decent start to the season, I would say, winning our opening game of the season at home against Sheffield United. We obviously have had tough away games going to Arsenal, Man United, where we lost narrowly. And then before the international break, beating Chelsea 1-0 away, where I think a lot of teams might get a lot of joy there, to be honest, including yourselves maybe. So Yeah, it's been a good start. Last season was very, very tricky with our away form being abysmal, our home form being relatively good. That kept us up in the league. So it's going to be an interesting game. I do believe Burnley could be a banana skin, but with how Burnley have started the season and being so open and so expansive, I'm led to believe that Vincent Kompany may be too stubborn to go away from this right now in this current situation. So if that's going to happen, I do believe Forest will have enough in them to sit back almost and counter attack and really get at Burnley. But before we get into that, obviously we've got to talk about our transfer activity. It's been a bit mental again. Obviously we signed 7-8 players on deadline day, but actually if you are a Forest fan and follow quite closely, and rather than looking from the outside in, then you will actually know that most of those players were targets throughout the summer, and it just kind of took the domino effect of Brennan Johnson leaving to then bring in all of them players. Mixed experiences from people winning World Cups, obviously in Gonzalo Montiel, to players that are only just starting out kind of in their careers. Someone like Murillo from Corinthians coming in. We've signed the big money signing was Ibrahim Sangare, who's become our initial record signing for £30 million, swapping Champions League football with PSV for Trent side football at the City Ground. So it's an exciting time to be a Forest fan. It's going to be an interesting one to see how Cooper will incorporate those people into our team and into our system, and maybe if we change our system to play more of a 4 at the back rather than a 5 at the back, and maybe get at teams, especially at home. I mean, the game against yourselves, I do expect us to maybe get on the front foot a little bit more, but with how Burnley like to press and kind of knock it about, then maybe we'll actually sit in a little bit more. But if we start someone like Sangare with Ryan Yates, who can kind of unlock unlock the attack almost in a defensive scenario where we win the ball in a good spot like we did against Chelsea, and then suddenly we're at the back 4 or back 5, however you want to play, and we can really hurt you with our pace on the break. I mean, Anthony Elanga is someone who's covering a lot of distance with each carry that he's having, and he looks blisteringly fast. Tyrell Windy is looking very, very strong this season. Obviously scored 3 goals and got an assist in the first 4 games of the season, and is looking very, very strong. So it's going to be a really good game. I think it's a potential banana skin, but I do think Forest will have probably just about enough. I think it'll be a different game from the cup game, and it should be a comfortable one for Forest, I say. But I'm also very cautious that complacency can be the downfall of our demise. So yeah, we've got to treat you with respect, but give it the respect that we need to give you is by being on it from minute 1 till probably minute 100, you'd say nowadays. But I would say good luck, but I truly wouldn't mean it. So, and I'm sure you'd be the same to myself and the rest of the Forest fan base. But yeah, thanks for having us. Good luck, safe travels. See you next time.
The No Nay Never podcast is brought to you in association with the TalkSport Fan Network. Our host and editor is Natalie Bromley, and the show is produced by Matt Moss. Our resident statistician is Dave Roberts, and our FPL expert is Adam Dennett. The Analysis Show team is collectively Tom Whittaker, Rich Steele, George Poole, Charlotte Rigby and Adam Dennett. Our music is provided by George Gaskell, and our newsletter team is headed up by Jamie Smith. If you don't already, you can subscribe to our newsletter by visiting nonaynever.substack.com. Thanks as ever go to our partners TalkSport. We are proud to be associated with the TalkSport Fan Network.